which is pronounced svadhyaya. Okay, svadhyaya. And you need to make sure that you write down these notes. Is there somebody over there? You need to make sure that you write down the notes in your journal, and also that you actually read and go over the all of the YouTube stuff in preparation for your final. Okay, and you also have to read the book. So remember, you don't have to look at the YouTube. You can just turn it on, and you could be doing something else if you know how to do that, because some people don't know how to do that. But you can be listening to it while you're doing something else. Okay, it doesn't have to be watched, right? So svadhyaya means self or belonging to me. To get close to yourself by using self-reflection. Self-reflection can be either a contemplative practice or a meditation practice, or the ability to be aware when you're talking to somebody, right? Contemplation, svadhyaya talks about using contemplation, meditation, and awareness as a way to become a better person. And let me give you an example. You must remember that when somebody pisses you off, it is not them pissing you off. It is you giving up your power and remembering that what you're looking at is a reflection of something about yourself that you don't really care for. Okay? It's something about yourself that bugs you. For instance, if you have something about being lazy, you don't like lazy people, generally that means because you're afraid to be lazy yourself and you don't want to be seen or viewed as a lazy person. So whenever you encounter a lazy person, you get very, very upset. But not because you're angry at them, but because that's a reflection. You're angry because you don't want to see that in yourself. And when you see it in another person, it reminds you about the things that you could actually be yourself, right? So you have to be very careful, and that's what we call self-awareness. And that's where svadhyaya comes in. Because you have to be completely aware of the things that you don't like or the things that trigger you when you are around other people, right? And then you have to dig down deeper. And sometimes the answer is not so prevalent. It's not so obvious. It's not so blatant. So sometimes we have to look deep within ourselves to find it. And for that you can use meditation, or for that you can use contemplation. Contemplation, does anybody know the difference between meditation and contemplation? No? No one knows the difference? Nope. What would you say?
I thought during meditation you don't think at all, and contemplation so you think about things.
Yes, good. Would you repeat that a little bit louder?
Contemplation is when you think about something in a deeper sense, and meditation is when you don't think about anything at all.
Right. So meditation is when you sort of move the thoughts out of the way by focusing in on the space between the thoughts, so that there's an absence for a moment of thought so that you can think clearly. And and contemplation is when you begin to go inward. Maybe you put some headphones on or whatever, you take a walk or something, and all you're doing is thinking about not just the situation and how wrong it is, but thinking about how you feel about the situation, how you're looking at the situation. Perhaps this is, and then you contemplate it. So like you take the process and you sort of allow it to move through yourself, right? And being aware means that you know that you need one of those two, right? If you're totally upset, people just react on being upset. But when you're in Svadhyaya and you use that as an awareness, you could tell somebody, you know what, I am really upset right now, and I need some space, and I'll get back with you in a little bit. But we don't do that. We just react and we yell and, you know, and we don't even stop to think until later, after we've done it. Then it's like, oh man, you know, I'm sorry I yelled at that person. It wasn't even about that person. It was all about me. It was all about myself and what was happening inside me, right? So when we take the step, when the Yamas say take the step of Svadhyaya to help us, that's important. And the last part of this is that this is a practice that serves as a mirror to grow into a more compassionate, caring, and successful individual. When you can go inward, you can see the blocks that are holding you back from moving forward. You can see your fears. What is it I'm afraid of? Why can't I get to that next level? Why can't I get to the next step? I know that I'm blocking myself. What is it inside myself? Right? And that's what you use that for. When you don't use that, you're like a bull. It keeps ramming and ramming and ramming. And I remember so clearly Einstein saying, you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created it. Right? It's kind of like, have you ever seen somebody be very stubborn and they're determined to fix something? And they're like, no, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. And you're stepping back and you can clearly see that that they keep doing it the same way, and it's not going to happen, right? But they're so determined and so stubborn. I can do it, right? But they're doing it the same way over and over and over. What happens generally? What happens to somebody like that? Do they fix the problem? Do they fix the thing? No, they usually give up. They throw it and go, and they usually add some pretty flowery language to go with that, right? So that's what it means. It means you have to step away, step inside. Now you can also get self-reflection and contemplation from a book. Okay? Those people that are more successful usually take the time to really be contemplative with books and things like that. And it's been proven time and time again, the more you read, the smarter you are, and the more you read, the more successful you are. The less you read, the less successful you are. And you can walk around and ask people that are higher up in job positions even. You ask them, they're always constantly learning, they're always doing self-improvement courses. They hire themselves a coach to improve themselves. Those that are lesser hardly ever read, and they never do the things necessary to improve themselves, right? The more you improve and strive to improve yourself, the more successful you will be, right? So Svadhyaya is about looking inward. So today when you're doing your yoga, don't just do your yoga. Remember, as the yoga mat is a representation of how we actually work in our life. Take a look at what's happening on your yoga mat. Notice and do the poses. Do you get distracted easily when we're doing this? If so, then most likely in your life you get distracted a lot. So setting a goal for you will be hard. Right? Maybe perhaps you get in on your mat and you really don't care. You're sort of apathetic. Whether or not you do it right, it doesn't matter to you. Well, then that's exactly what you do in life. You just kind of go through the motions. Right? Maybe perhaps on your mat you're feeling a little bit like a little reserved, afraid. If you move a little bit too much, it might hurt a little too much, and that's what you do in life. You always play it safe.